Hello everyone and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. I am sorry before I go any further that I might look and sound a little bit apagada, pero es que anoche no pegué ojo. Llevo así 2 o 3 noches. Por cierto, pegar ojo means to not be able to sleep. Okay, so I haven't been able to sleep. And last night, I got no sleep at all. Nothing. I basically sat and watched the clock go round and round on it until it was time to get up at 6:30. So, lo siento. ¿Vale? Right, without further ado, we are going to begin. So, this lesson, I want to look at 10 interesting facts about Spain. So, Spanish history, culture, or just Spain. Okay, things about Spain that I personally find really interesting. And in doing so and talking about these points, I think for those of you who are doing your A-level Spanish and you are now focusing on your IRP and you're maybe looking for your topics, a topic to do your research project on, maybe you might get an idea from this. I don't know. Saying that, I did a video last year or the year before about the different topics that we've seen over the years that perhaps you could choose one of those, and if not, I am sure after this video you will find an appropriate topic. And don't forget, whatever topic you choose, do consult with your teacher first to make sure that it's a suitable topic. Okay? Right. The first fact that I love is this, que España ha tenido varias capitales. If I was to say to you now, what's the capital of Spain? I am sure you will all say Madrid. But did you know that before Madrid, there were lots of other capitals? Okay, I went to this place in the north called Cangas de Onís. And when I got to that place, the locals told me that it was a capital, and I was like, what? Mind-blowing. I didn't know that. But Toledo is a place that you've probably heard of. That was the capital also. You have places like Cádiz, Valencia, or Valladolid. Remember we talked about Valladolid and how beautiful they speak there? Because it's a place that's considered the birth of Spanish, really, or something like that. You'll have to go back to that interview and watch what the guy from there said about Valladolid. Look at that video, it's really interesting. They speak really well, really easy for us to understand. Okay, so these were all capitals, and not just these. There are a few other cities that were capitals before Madrid. I love that. So perhaps when it comes to research project, you could look into that, the history of different capitals, and even discuss why they were capitals, when, interesting things about them. I don't know, ask your teacher whether or not that would be a good topic or an area to develop. So much you can do. All right, moving on to number 2. Number 2 we have que es el país con mayor número de bares por habitantes del mundo. Okay, del mundo. The country with the most bars per inhabitants. Wow. I'll tell you something about the bars. I'll tell you something about bars. Bars in Spain are central to a neighborhood or a village. You know, and my compañero de trabajo, Alonso, look out for that video because we were talking about that last week and I was like, oh my God, it's true. Whenever you go to a place, you can tell which bar is the life of that neighborhood or of that village. You can just tell them if this is where people go to socialize. so much happen in bars. It's just such a massive part of Spanish culture. I love that. Watch out for that video because I think it's going to have some really interesting information that you're going to love to hear. I'm not going to go into that much further because I want you to come back and look for that video that I'm going to do with Alonso, who is a workmate. Obviously he's Spanish and he knows a lot about this, and he was telling me about the importance of a certain bar in his village, and I was just like, wow, we have to do an interview about this. So watch out for that, okay? What's the importance of bars in villages or in neighborhoods in Spain? I think that's got a lot to be discovered, and there's so much you can do and talk about this subject, okay? All right, number 3, we have las tapas, okay? So what's the history of las tapas? Everyone knows what tapas are, right? You know, we don't have these in England, but when you go out for a drink here, you will normally be given a tapas with your drink. You'll pay for the drink, but you'll get a small tapas. Just to know, I love that. I love that because whatever you eat in the UK, you pay for that. But here it's quite common. And in this area where I'm living, there are periods where you have tapas competitions, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal. There are bars who are famous for their tapas nationally, and so it's something that people take pride in. And when that time of year comes around, people go from bar to bar trying tapas, and it's great. It's a whole vibe when it comes to that tapas period where people really do enjoy, and bars get quite creative with the tapas that they do. So you're going to be seeing really interesting things being put together. You're really going to be seeing artistry. You're going to be seeing things that blow you away, things that are delicious, things that are just you don't want to eat because they're so beautiful. There is so much behind the tapas. And from area to area is different, you know. If you go to Murcia, the tapas are very different from the type of tapas that you have in Albacete or in Madrid. So again, it's all very regional. So much, guys. But I'm saying that this tapas would be a great subject if you know really how to research and really look into it, and you know, look for the history of it. There's a famous story about how it began. I don't remember the name of the king, but it was a Spanish king who went to a bar, I think it was in Cadiz, if I'm not mistaken. And they gave him tapas to cover his beer or something like that, so flies wouldn't go in it, or I can't remember the story. So look for the history of tapas because it's quite interesting, even though there are various different accounts of how it started. Go and see which ones you find out there and share with me, okay? Right, okay. Number 4, which is a big topic when we're studying Spanish. Turismo. So, tourism in Spain, okay? El turismo es una de las fuentes más importantes de ingreso de España, del país, okay? It is one of the biggest source of income. We could look at how tourism affects the country positively and negatively, how people's opinions of tourism, how does it affect wildlife, how does it affect the neighborhood, how does it affect crime, how does it affect other social aspects, how does it, because it's not just economy. Economy is all great because it's bringing in a lot of money, but what are the pros and cons of tourism? Have a little look at that. This is also a very rich topic, okay? Right, next one. Number 5, España es el único país europeo que tiene frontera física con un país africano. Did you know that? It's the only European country that has a border with an African country. Yeah, did you know that? This, I think, is a great opportunity for you to look into the only African country, which is Guinea Equatorial, okay? And look at the history of that. That would be fantastic. If you've been following this channel, you will see that I have a lot of videos about Equatorial Guinea, because I do find this country quite fascinating. Its history, its colonial past, the links with Spain and so on. And so I think that's quite a fascinating topic to look into as well for your IRP. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you ideas. That's what I'm here to do. Okay, next one. Hay otros idiomas. No se habla solo español, okay? So, no se, in Spain, they don't just speak Spanish and that's it, okay? Tienen regiones diferentes con lenguas diferentes. Tenemos euskera del País Vasco. We've seen that. We've got Catalan, yes? And then we have Valenciano. There are a few other languages that are also spoken in Spain, and this tells us a lot about the history of the different regions within Spain, and that in itself is so rich in cultural identity, language, these unique languages. Where did they come from? Where are their roots? Look into all of these things, guys. There's so much sauce. Hay mucha salsa. Come on, I'm giving you loads. All right, next one. España estuvo bajo control musulmán durante 8 siglos. Okay? And I'm sure you've heard this before. Al-Andalus. Okay? So it's that period where the Arabs were here in la Peninsula, and they ruled what we know, the region we now know as Spain. Okay, so they ruled it, and so because they were here for so many years, hundreds and hundreds of years, and so because they were here for that amount of time, you can still see architecture. So if you go to places like Granada, you can see the influence still there. There's so many things you can go and visit. In the language, Spain still has lots of words. I would say thousands of words or expressions that have roots in Arabic. So this is quite interesting to see how these prints have been left behind. And so it's a really good topic. It's a common topic, Al-Andalus, when we're talking about Spanish culture and history. So you might want to have a little look at that, because I do find it quite interesting. And it's big. You're not going to run out of information because it's just vast. It's so much. Okay? Right, next interesting fact is this. Tuvo territorios en todos los continentes. Okay? So it had territories in all of the continents, all of them. A lot of people didn't actually know about Africa. You know, every time I talk about Africa, people are like, really? Yeah, every single continent you can think about, Spain had colonized it. Key figures, los Reyes Católicos, and Felipe II. Felipe II, what was his role in this? Okay, and how does los Reyes Católicos, how did they impact this? The spread of Spanish culture and Spanish all over the world. Come on, this is lots of stuff, great stuff for you to study. Okay, next one. We're talking about comunidades autónomas, okay? Hay 17 comunidades autónomas. Luego hay 2 ciudades autónomas que están en África. Yep, you've heard it right. There are 2 Spanish cities on the African continent, and so yeah, they're independent too. Melilla and Ceuta. So much stuff. Okay, you could research this, and this will go back again, and it could be tied into the idea of identity, identidad regional. Okay, so much in that again. Okay, and the last one, ya no existe. CH. Okay, when I was at school, we had to learn CH. It's no longer in the ABC. Okay, so desde el año 2010 no existe CH y ella en el alfabeto español. So CH and LL no longer exist in the alphabet. When you're going through the alphabet, you won't see them anymore. So that's a new update. And this is quite interesting when we talk about language always evolving and changing. That's a topic. How has the Spanish language evolved? Especially when you think about the colonies. How is Spanish different from region to region, or even from continent to continent? That's something I think about a lot. If you notice that I like to do lots of interviews from different places all around the world, especially Latin America, because some of the accents are so different and they're so beautiful, and the vocabulary is also very different from the vocabulary in Spain. So how does that come about? Think about the process. Think about how culture has to do with that. Think about how people take from their ancestors who were not Spanish and how they've combined it. Think about how immigration has an impact on changing language. There is so much, guys. There is so much you can do with this. I'm just giving you ideas. These are my 10 points that I find incredibly interesting about Spanish history and culture. And I hope that they will help you to come up with some fantastic ideas as to what you want to do for your IRP. Good luck, and I'm sure you're going to do really well. You are going to smash it because you can. And if you've got this far, you can get to the end. Okay? Y con eso, os voy a dejar. And do not forget to subscribe down below if you've not already subscribed to the channel. Okay? Adios.